Hello, this is Becky DeGrossa, and I'm hoping that this video can help you avoid one of the many mistakes that people make when they write hardship letters. Given the fact that you found yourself at this website, you're most likely one of the thousands of people who are having a hard time making their mortgage payments. If that is the case, then you're probably looking at one of four options. You could be going after a loan modification with your lender or a loan forbearance. If the numbers don't work and you won't be able to get approval for either of those, then you're probably looking at a short sale or a deed in lieu of foreclosure. Depending on how much you know about each one of these options, you may benefit from reading my free report that explains each one of these options in detail. To get this free report, all you have to do is opt in on the right of this website, put your name and your email, and it'll automatically be sent to you. No charge. You may, however, have your option figured out. You know what you're going after. In that case, you will need a high-quality, well-written hardship letter. That's the case for any one of these options. Now, if you're not in the loan industry or the mortgage industry, you may not know what needs to go into this letter. So most likely you go online and you search on hardship letter and you're faced with all sorts of options. I want to warn you, beware the sharks. There are a lot of folks out there trying to take advantage of people in your situation today by offering various options that aren't really options at all. If you haven't seen it in the press yet, many, if not most, of the loan modification companies that are out there today trying to help you, quote unquote, they're really scams, and you want to avoid those. Here are just a few of the reports that have appeared in the news lately about these scam artists. If you've been contacted by one of these quote unquote foreclosure rescue specialists, run the other way. They won't seek you out if they're legitimate, and often, unfortunately, they are preying on people who are looking for the word hardship letter online. So just be really careful. And now if you've managed to avoid those folks, so far so good, now you need to work on getting a good hardship letter written. Well, in case you don't know it yet, most of the information that's online in regard to hardship letters is complete trash. I don't really know where these guys come up with this, but this is a letter that was supposedly posted by, some big mortgage or real estate specialist who says at the top, "I've been asked about a sample loan modification hardship letter." And then basically he offers this letter. Well, all of the red on this letter is either a spelling error or a grammar error or something that's totally ridiculous and that should not in fact be in this letter at all, that will in fact raise red flags with the loan modification person who's reading it at the lender. So you want to be careful about what advice you're following out there. And here's another sample letter that's posted online. There's several of these. Just be careful what you look at. This is another letter with a whole bunch of grammatical and spelling errors. How much credibility do you think you're going to have if you submit something like this to a loan modification employee at your lenders? Now, in addition to just really poor templates with spelling and grammatical errors and just bad guidelines on how to put it together, you can really get yourself into a lot of trouble by just following the bad advice about what they say to put in the letter itself. Here's an example of one of the many tips online on how to write a letter of hardship or a hardship letter. And for the most part, there's a lot of things in here that are fairly good. You would read that and you would think, oh yeah, but write with feeling and emotion. Make them cry when they read your letter. Make them cry. We'll talk a little bit about this in a minute. Now, you may have heard this story about the CEO of Countrywide, the ex-CEO of Countrywide, Angelo Mazzillo, how he accidentally replied to an email that was sent to him from somebody who was trying to get a loan modification with his company. And he basically said that this homeowner's plea for help was disgusting. Now, the reason for this is that a lot of people are going out online. They don't know how to write these letters. I mean, why should you? You aren't in this industry. How would you know how to write them? But they go out online and they read this advice that they're getting, and they put together these letters based on this advice. And they really are misdirected, they're muddled, they don't make sense, and they are begging for sympathy. And what they serve to do, as this incident portrays, they serve to just really irritate the people who are reading them. The folks in these mortgage companies who are reading these things, they are overworked, underpaid, and all they're getting is a bunch of letters poorly written that don't really help them be able to come up with a solution for you. So that's the problem with following this advice online. Mozilla here ended up leaving Countrywide soon after this thing broke, but the problems are still there. Real people are going to be reading your letter, and whether they have sympathy for you or not is really not the question. The question is whether or not you propose something that is doable, that they can help you with. So let's talk about this. What should your letter accomplish? Well, first of all, you need to get the attention of someone who can actually help you with this situation. And in order to do that, you need to get their attention, you need to keep their attention, and you need to make sure that you just don't annoy them and irritate them so that your letter goes in the circular file. And next, you want to convince them that you really need help. Okay, you really do need the help. And the way you want to do that is you want to lay out what's happening financially for you. Okay, what the history is, what has happened. We're beyond blame at this point. It's not blaming them for getting you into an arm that you couldn't refinance later. It's not blaming yourself. It's just, here's the situation. And third, and most important, you want to convince them that what you're proposing is really workable. Your numbers have to add up. If you're proposing a loan modification or a loan forbearance, you want to convince them that if you can get this and you can make, they can make these adjustments, that you will be able to make the payments. That's the most important part, and that's what people don't realize that they have to have in these letters in order for it to work. Now, obviously, that is something that you need for loan modification or loan forbearance. If you're doing a short sale or a deed in lieu, you don't need to prove that you can make any future payments at all. There, you're just trying to get out from under your mortgage payment. But this third point is really important, and that's something that with our process, with the questions that we ask you, and with the way that we write the letter, we can help you really craft this and present something to your lender that makes sense and then allows them to actually help you. So what are the next steps here? Well, go ahead and read the rest of this web page, but if you are wondering at all about what your options are and what they mean to you, go ahead and opt in for my report. It's a free report, and it'll explain the options to you that you can utilize to avoid foreclosure. And now, if you're already clear on what option you want to pursue, but you feel that you really need some help with writing a very effective, high-quality hardship letter, then go ahead and place your order and I'll write your letter for you. You'll enter a process. It's explained on this page, but we will have a form sent to you and there'll be a lot of questions that you need to answer. You'll give me the information that I need to make sure that I can write a really high-quality letter for you. And whatever you decide, best of luck to you. Thanks for listening.